Which a set would be, one of the ACA, or, the handicap ones, and one regular one, and a hand station, and same thing on Second Street.
All right.
That'd be more than we've probably ever done.
Let's I don't need this. Let's call this. I'll call this meeting to order. It is
But that's all
now
I've done.
6:02 p.m. on November 13th, 2024. And our acting secretary tonight, if I may, Rick, if you do a little roll call here.
Rick White.
In attendance, yep. He's going to be standing in today for Angel Acosta. Brian Hansen, here.
Joy Marley's here.
Megan Langford, here.
And Brandon Baeza is, let's see,
Present.
Brandon Baeza is absent, as well as Angel Acosta, who Rick is sitting in for. Great.
Previous minutes?
Yeah, if we could just approve these previous minutes. I'm going to stand in for Angel.
I approve the previous minutes?
They're all passed out, so we're not going to do a second.
Yep. Sec.
Oh, okay.
Well, they've been passed out, so
Yeah, it seems we don't even need it.
yeah, we can just take a vote.
Yeah. Approved.
All right.
If I could open up the floor to any public comment on anything that's on the agenda for the night that's been passed out. If there's nothing pressing. Doesn't sound like anything's online. Okay. Okay, let's move right along the agenda then.
All right. Supervisor comments and updates.
I forgot my notebook as I was running out of the office, so I will do this by memory. Sorry. The first thing is the burn ban. I know a lot of people have questions about that, and we've got the rain, and there's CAL FIRE usually lifts the burn ban, and then air quality starts issuing permits. So we're kind of in this in-between time. Hopefully it'll be worked out very, very soon. You can still get your smoke management plans and the special permits, sometimes the ag permits or the special permits. I think you can still get those, but the regular everyday burn permits are coming soon. This is a big issue in Cobb. Everyone's freaking out. So I don't know if anyone has questions about that, but that's kind of where we are right now. Hopefully in the next couple of days it'll kind of be smoothed out and we'll be open for burning. Along the lines of burning, yesterday, Moak and I sit on the Workforce Alliance of the North Bay Board, and we worked on this grant, and we just awarded $7.9 million to TERRA, which is the Tribal Eco Restoration Alliance, which has been doing the cultural burning all around the county, which is incredible. So that is a huge capacity boost. They're going to be purchasing property for a campus and doing more workforce development. So you've probably seen their burns all around. They do cultural burning, which is a little bit different than prescribed burning. But typically when they have a burn, everyone goes out. CAL FIRE, the local fire districts, everyone that's in the Prescribed Burn Association. It's a really big deal. And if you ever want to check one out, they do public press releases. Go see one. It's very, very cool to see that happen. So you will see a lot of burning from them going forward and hopefully growing their team.
Where do they do the press releases? Usually, like
TERRA's press releases, you can follow them on social media.
Okay.
They're on Instagram and Facebook. And if you just follow them, then you'll see all the locations that they're out. But they do a lot of community outreach because they don't want anyone to be caught off guard if they see a lot of smoke. So this is really important, not just for fuels work, but for watershed restoration. So up in the Cobb watershed, they do a lot of burning there to bring health back to the forest and watershed. So that's very exciting.
Jessica, I missed the first part of that. The almost 8 million
It's almost 5 million,
Oh,
4.7 million.
4.7, sorry. So where did that come from?
State funding.
Okay.
So Workforce Alliance of the North Bay is Lake County, Napa County, Marin County, and Mendocino County. And so we have a joint board, and we always work on projects for workforce development. So, we're supervisors from all the counties that, and then we're headquartered in Napa.
What's the, do you know what the Facebook thing is? Because I want to try to share it through this group now.
Tribal Eco Restoration Alliance, and Terra is their TERA is their nickname.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And then the Fish and Wildlife has a working group that's working on Coal Creek restoration. This is under Fish and Wildlife, but staffed by a local county employee from the district, Watershed Protection District / county. It's the same thing. So they're doing everyone knows how Coal Creek floods every year out here. The whole meadow floods. The Army Corps of Engineers redesigned Coal Creek and made it a straight shot at one point, and there's a lot of failed culverts. And then tying this to the hitch work, there's habitat restoration work that's happening. So they've been applying for a lot of grants. I want to say there's about under $1 million out. Hopefully we'll hear by the end of the month if we get some of those. And these are planning grants, and then working towards implementation of carrying out the restoration work. So that's replacing old culverts, sediment removal, and vegetation management in those waterways. Most of the property owners that live along Coal Creek are already working with water resources. But if you know somebody who's not, who's complaining or will complain when the rains come and there's flooding, just put them in contact. They can contact me or Water Resources directly. And then Angela DePalma-Dow, she would like to come. Maybe next month she'll know about the grants, but maybe January would be better to talk about all of the work that they're doing on the creeks here in Big Valley.
Great.
Yeah.
Do you know where they're planning on starting on Coal Creek for that work? Are they gonna start by the state park and work their way in it, or?
The priority is the state park up through the valley here.
So like all the way up Park Drive?
Yeah. That's where the bad flooding is. The whole creek has been prioritized, but this is the work, this latter portion of the creek is where the real intensive planning is happening. A lot happened over the last about year and a half. They brought in the triple Cs. They cleared tons and tons of vegetation out. So these planning grants will really develop all of the plans and then start to put those pieces in place for implementation, because getting the CCCs is pretty easy to, once, this is a priority of the state, so hopefully we'll get the grants, and then hopefully we'll get those crews out pretty quickly to get more work done. But that advisory body is meeting monthly, and again, that is under Fish and Wildlife in partnership with the county. So it's a big deal. The last thing is, I know I've been talking to you a lot about the insurance work that I've been doing and policy work. Next week I'm going to our CSAC is our annual, or California Association of Counties. Supervisor-elect is coming with us. So it's a week-long conference where we're working on all of our policy sets. And so I'm the vice chair of the Ag, Energy, and Natural Resources Policy Committee. So every 2 years we update our policies, our policy platforms, sorry. So there's just some minor tweaks, but they're pretty standard. And again, this is all 58 counties. A lot of rural counties are are very interested in this policy group. So we hear a lot of voices Mostly we talk about water, because we have a lot of our Central Valley farmers that are part of that, and fire protection, fire mitigation, and insurance. And so a subgroup of that policy committee is the insurance working group that I've been talking to you about. So we also have policy recommendations that we're going to be submitting to, which, for those of you who haven't been coming here, we all are aware of the insurance crisis. This is something that ultimately will be figured out between the commissioner, the governor, and the legislatures, but because we have this knowledge of what's happening in our community, and we can directly report what would be helpful and what is not helpful. So it is our hope that they will adopt at least some of our policy recommendations. So that's what I have. Any questions?
Nope. Brad, are you good? Okay.
You want to get it?
You want to introduce yourself?
Just checking. Didn't want to put you on the spot, but.
Well, I think I was here in October. I'm not sure if all the same board members were here, but yeah, my name's Brad Rasmussen. I'll be taking over the District 4 seat on January 6th is when I'll be sworn in, and I'm happy to be here. I'm here because I want to be more knowledgeable about what you have going on in the Big Valley area, and so I plan to stay connected to that and be at future meetings. Thank you.
So Supervisor Pyska, is the board going to, do you have an update for us on the response to Measure U, if they're going to recommend for, against, or just not do anything?
What I anticipate happening is the election is going to be certified at the beginning of December, because there's 30 days to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I anticipate it going back before the board sometime between that time and the end of the year. We only have 3 meetings, so
Yeah.
it won't be the first meeting. Likely would be the second or third meeting. And I have no idea what my colleagues will say. I've been pretty clear on my position. It does need to come back to be finalized.
But that's going to go back to the board to just determine whether or not they follow the recommendation or not? Okay,
I mean, I wish I knew.
sure, all right.
I've been very clear on my position. I don't know how, I mean, we're bound by the Brown Act, which means we cannot talk about it outside of the meeting. So,
What's your position?
so I am neutral, and, I think that we should submit what the people have voted on. And that's, I am not,
Members that would be voting on it, are they from Kelseyville?
they represent other parts of the county.
But they're not Kelseyville representatives.
I am the district supervisor for Kelseyville. So
So that's just going to go back on the board's agenda?
it's going back on the board's agenda.
Okay.
Yes,
Before the end of the year.
before the end of the year.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, next agenda item.
LePac stuff.
Yeah, that's the LAPAC agenda item is going to be pushed till next month. We'll have Mireya Turner, our CDD director, available then, so we'll put that on the agenda. Talk about some updates with LAPAC.
LePac.
LAPAC. Yeah.
Yeah, we're going for the fancy pronunciation. It's LePac.
Not the lay person, LAPAC. Okay, so moving right along. Sorry, I'm looking at that. I'd like to introduce Lars Ewing.
Okay. All right. Please don't clap. Please don't.
We're all excited about the
right.
remodel.
All right.
We
All right.
wanna hear
Lars
about
Ewing, Public Services Director for Lake County. I do have a handout here, and I think I have enough. Probably about 20. I thought that was going to, I was told there were going to be 6 people here. So, yeah.
We're all really excited
So
about
it's
this
like,
topic,
did you
so
get
that's
the-
why.
yeah, there's one more.
Yeah, we can share.
All right. If you all need it, some of you have. It's the same. Yeah, same that you have. Dustin, here you go. Actually, if I could ask you to hand it out that way, I won't waste everyone's time. Okay, so again, Lars Ewing, Public Services Director for the county, which includes facilities, buildings and grounds. And so we're in the right spot for this topic. I was asked to give a brief update, and I'll be as brief as you like about the status of this building, specifically a renovation for the building. I know there's a lot of questions about the history here. I'll do my best to answer in the capacity that I can, and certainly we'll try to track down some answers if we don't have them here. But my role for the project is really the renovation of the project, and so. We have a lot of members from the Senior Center Board here, which is appropriate. I'll give you a quick rundown. If you're not aware, the building we're in is the Kelseyville Senior Center, right? We know that a lot of people know that it was the post office, has been a senior center for quite some time, not owned by the county. There was some, I think, a misunderstanding maybe of past events. The county did contribute, as I understand it. This predates me, but the county contributed or provided a grant, as I understand it, to the senior center, goodness, decades ago, that was used for some improvements. And that grant kind of carries forward, and the county recently purchased the property. That grant amount reduced the amount that the county bought the property back from Konocti Senior. Is it KSI? I believe is the acronym. So the building is now county owned. Let's just put it that way. The intent was to purchase it, lease it back immediately back to the Konocti Senior Board, which the county did, and there was funding that was allocated for improvements to the building. Really the driver for those improvements is right behind me. It was the kitchen, and as we started looking and we're communicating with the Senior Center Board, it became apparent that it was more than just the kitchen. So I'll give an update on the status of the design, but I want to back up a bit and talk about the funding. There is and was $700,000, I believe, if memory serves, that was assigned for this project. Since then, the county has secured another about $1 million grant through the community development block grant. I'll credit Terry Logston at the county for pursuing that. And so combined with the funding that was already available, we have about $1.7 million for this building, which I know sounds like a lot, but for those that are even remotely in touch with construction, you know that between prevailing wage and simple cost of materials, it's not going to it'll go far certainly, but not as far as you might think. We're not tearing this down and building the Taj Mahal. So what we are doing with the money is right now we're in design. I'm just going to put it that way. We're in planning. We're in preliminary planning or preliminary design phase. The county hired a team of engineers and architects to work with our client, which is the Senior Center Board, as our primary stakeholder. The whole public is a stakeholder, so there will be an opportunity for public input. Now is one of those as well. There will be more. What I handed out is really, I guess you'd call it a programming document. It was the product, the preliminary product from the architect. So if you're involved with design, I'm not going to use concept design, schematic design. There's different levels, but this is just the early ideas from the architect. There's a lot of stuff in there that might have been not anticipated when we first started in on this, but it's what an architect brings to it, which is, hey, listen, I recognize, if I'm speaking as the architect, which I'm not, but he comes in here recognizing that what he has heard is that the kitchen is bad. All right, well, he recognizes a whole lot, he sees a whole lot of other stuff. One of the main ideas that he has brought to the table is trying to almost flip the building around. When you come in from the side, and we're here facing this brick wall, and behind us there's a park, and behind us is Main Street, and so there's an idea there of opening it up, making this a true civic center, and having an adjacency with the park, an adjacency with Main Street. So if you flip you can flip through this program at your leisure, or the program document at your leisure, but he does talk at some length about that. So so not as an architect, I can't speak to that. I am an engineer, so I can talk about maybe a little bit of the nuts and bolts, but the architect, I'll leave that to them. But I think there is a lot of value in that, especially if you live here and you see that, goodness, Main Street is over there, the entrance is oddly over here. So we're working not just to improve the kitchen, but to improve the whole building. I'm going to get maybe down into the nitty-gritty here a little bit. There are 4 options that are presented in this document, and I just provide it for your information at this point. We've worked with the Senior Center Board, and option 3 is the one that they're recommending that we move ahead with, and so we're looking at advancing that, I guess is a simple way to put it, drawing up some renderings and working on the floor plan so that we have that kind of flushed out a little bit more. And what that is kind of flipping the floor plan here. This kitchen is, it needs some attention. And the attention that it needed would be about as costly as if we built it brand new over here. So the idea that the architect has is to put the kitchen here. The event space would be behind me. The actual entry to the building would be over kind of essentially right through here where these restrooms are. And the restrooms would be relocated back here. There would be a small office near the front. And it would be a phased approach. The cost estimate for that, along with the design and architectural work, pretty much exhausts the funding, and so the next phase would be to work on the classroom over here and improve that. Schedule-wise for this, we're anticipating spring, getting to the point where we're going to be able to put out bids. That's our goal. I don't see that it's unreasonable to get there, and dependent upon bid, what the bids come in, that's going to dictate how much we can carry this forward. So I want to thank the Senior Center staff for helping. We had a productive meeting a few weeks ago with the architect as well as the overall project manager for the consultant team, who really represents the engineering side of it. But it was very helpful to go through, hear about the different issues that that you have. They've worked with you before, I know the consultant has, so it's been a collaborative effort. More to come, but that's the quick and dirty of this project, and I appreciate Supervisor Pyska for really carrying this forward and getting the funding, the initial funding that then resulted in another grant. So it's really been a. I mean that grant fell out of the sky. I had no idea, wasn't involved in it, so
Yeah,
it was
really
it was
great.
wonderful. It does come with some conditions, so to speak, that we design this so that it's available to be used as a community resource center in the event of a disaster. That's kind of the color of the grant, but it's certainly a reasonable use of the building. So
That's good.
So I'll pause there and just defer to the board here for any questions. But
And the timeline, we're looking at maybe completion at the end of next year?
it should be, given the scope of this, there's no reason why it shouldn't be in 2025, certainly.
Okay, great. What's the impact going to be on the use of the building during the construction phase?
Yeah, that's gone. Yeah, that's
Okay.
yeah, and I think the senior center has already worked with as a potential other locations, but yeah, it's to keep it open during construction would be a challenge. That's
And
for
but that's going to be a several month long at least process. I would assume that it would be
Yeah.
closed during that time. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
Are you only allowing prevailing wage companies to bid on it, or is the local companies able to do it too?
No, local companies can absolutely bid on it. I mean, I hope that happens. Any project that uses public money requires the payment of prevailing wage. It doesn't, it doesn't matter if there's $1 on a $1 billion job that was public. It turns it into a prevailing wage job. So, yeah. Yeah.
Is there any additional parking?
Yeah, Yes and no. So first, I want to address an ugly rumor that started that we were going to take over the park. No, another one of my hats is I run the parks for the county. So I don't want to take this park. Because I wear that other hat, I was considering, and still am, and it's open, that we might look to use some of the existing parking for the senior center, but we're not looking to pave paradise and put up a parking lot. But we recognize that there is an issue with parking. To that end, the front area here, we don't have a site plan. So let me just first say that. We don't have a site plan that includes parking, but the engineer that's working on this recognizes, as does the architect, that we need to improve the parking. That's both on street, on Third Street, as well as, is this Saderland here? I should know, but yeah, thank you. And they did, some of you I'm sure noticed that the power pole, or well, I guess it's just a utility pole, was moved, not for parking, but it was moved for this project. So I expect there will be certainly some improvements. But we're not wizards. I can't just make 50 parking spaces right here. It's going to be doing the best that we can. You're welcome. Yeah, so she's looking at the bottom of page 16 and the what's called the elevation or schematic elevation. Imagine you are standing in the park and you're looking at the building. Anything that's kind of grayed out will not be touched, which is the classroom. Will not be touched under the proposal that we're currently evaluating. So the left side, the grayed out side, is the classroom. The right side is what it may look like. And so what you see there is a lot more windows. So you won't be stuck in here. You'll be able to look out south facing, so a lot more natural light coming in. And there's some other ththings that aren't shown there that the architect and the engineer will certainly factor in: landscaping, some frontage improvements to try to give it a more civic presence. Right now it kind of looks like a standard building, so looking to give it a more robust look.
So if I remember when we were looking at all the breakdown on the numbers, that they did talk a lot about, they were to spend a bunch of money at the front, fixing up like the curb and the sidewalk and the parking in the front there, because, it's just when you get out of your car, you handicap, and now you got a running surface, so we're looking at fixing that up and including that in the cost of the remodel.
Yeah, there are some cost estimates on page 18. These are, I caution relying on these. The less you know about a project, the more the plus or minus goes up. So these estimates at this point, they're all about, the first three are around 1.3 million for construction. The fourth, which is building it all at once, is 1.7. I referenced earlier that's how much we have for the full project, which we also need to factor in soft costs, engineering and architecture and equipment and furnishings and such. But bottom line, it's the figures that are there are estimates at this stage, and so while he did include some site work, it's about the same as with all the options, and that would be absolutely frontage, but also parking as well. So but I can't tell you how many.
The most of the cost is gonna be in the kitchen and this whole concrete being all jackhammered out to get all the plumbing moved from this end to this end, and hoping the slope satisfies what they wanna do.
Yeah, they gave us, the engineer and the architect looked at, they compared the option. What if we remodel this? And remodeling this admittedly was cheaper, but it was about 5% cheaper than if we built it over here, based on what they felt needed to be improved, both from code and just operations, hearing the senior center's input. So
You see the windows, the graphics of the windows.
exactly. Yeah, the benefit of making that the true front, outweighed that little percentage.
What happens to any funds that aren't spent out of the grant and the funding money?
If it's not out of the grant, it goes back to the feds, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's, yeah,
Well,
we're,
because part of it was a grant and part of it was from somewhere else, right?
it is, yeah, and we're not giving any money back
Okay,
on
so
this.
both of them are like
I mean,
spend it or
yeah,
lose it, so we
it's-
may as well just go.
I mean, we're phasing this out because because we can't,
Yeah.
we can't build what we want.
Got
So
it.
yeah, it's not likely that we would be giving anything back.
Okay.
Is there any preliminary schedule for all of this?
I don't have a handout specifically on that. What I am aware is that the spring is when we were looking at having it out to bid. I think that's doable. It's, we're not, we're not redesigning, the White House here. So that's should be doable to have it in spring. And I would just say late spring. Yeah.
All right.
Great, thank you, Lars.
All right. Thank you all.
Any other questions from anyone else or anyone online? All right.
Okay, we have reached the end of our agenda items. Are there any other items of business that want to come before the board or the group?
Yeah, in the back there?
If you could just use the microphone.
Yeah, there's a microphone right up
And just
here
introduce yourself.
available for you. Just say your name.
Good evening, everybody. Margot Kambara, resident in Big Valley area. So my question is, and I'm new to this proceeding, I don't know if you have a standing agenda item for planned projects in the area?
We do, and we just didn't get an update from the county this month. So we hopefully will have one next month.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, great. If there's nobody else, if there's no further business, I'm going to adjourn this meeting. It's now 6:33. And thank you, everybody, for coming.
Thank you. We'll see you next month.